Okay, so in our today's session, we are going to focus exclusively on the prototyping aspect when it comes to business analysis. Now, the very first question that comes into our mind when we start creating a prototype is, why is there a need of creating a particular prototype for a particular project or a particular screen in a software system? Now, prototype is an essential modeling technique which the business analysts use in order to explain the business stakeholders, or for that matter, any stakeholder within a given project, to give an understanding of how the system would look like when they would be having the actual system in place. Now, prototype is the initial start point wherein we start thinking about the UI aspect of a particular system, how the UI would be, where all the options would be. If the system is like capturing some inputs, then how it would capture the inputs from different user communities or user groups available out there who would be essentially using the system. Now, in today's session, we are going to cover, we would first try to understand what are prototypes, why they are in place, what is the process behind the prototype creation, what are the dimensions of prototype, what kind of prototype exists in industry, the advantages and disadvantages of prototypes, best and worst system for creation of prototype, and we would get ourselves familiar with two of the widely used prototyping model, that is spiral approach and DSTM. And then we would do some hands-on by creating simple prototypes using Excel and a tool called as Exio. To start with, what are prototypes and what are its purpose? So like I said, software prototype can be defined as an incomplete version of the software program being developed. So at this point of time, we don't have the core functionality behind the screen to support the actual operations of a particular system. Rather, we tend to identify how the system would look like for a particular user community when it is actually done with the development process, how it would look like. So prototype can be serve as a visual understanding for different stakeholder in a particular project, whether it's a developer or a project manager or quality assurance people or the business stakeholder. They can easily visualize, once the system is built completely, maybe 3 months or 4 months down the line, how the system would look like. And basis on this prototype, we would be gathering our requirement as in what sort of requirement, like what is the number of the fields that would be available in a particular UI screen. For example, if I want to capture a individual user's demographic information, so what are the necessary fields that should be available, that would help us capture the demographic information of a particular user. So typically this field would be your first name, last name, address line 1, address line 2, state, city, zip code, country, phone number, email address, username, password, any XYZ sort of demographic information that we intend to collect from that particular user. And at the end, we would send this design document. Now, prototype are essentially a category of documents that is part of your requirement designing aspect when it comes to business analysis. Now, once you wrote the requirement, the high level requirement, the business requirement documents, you wrote the functional spec. Now, this particular artifact, the UI screen or the prototype, would serve as a supporting document to those documents, the BRD and the FRD, in order to have a better comprehension around how the screen flows or screen mockups would look like. So the moment I say screen mockup, UI screen, prototype, wireframe, they essentially means the same thing. Now, what is the purpose of prototype? Like I already explained you, it is more towards eliciting a particular requirement, how the UI screen would look like, and client or the business user get an actual feel of the system and how the prototype interaction would happen between the system, how the flow would happen. For example, if you are capturing a particular set of information like user for demographic information, followed by users shipping address, followed by users billing address, so how the flow would be: first demographic information, then your user's billing address, then the shipping address, and then the payment information. So this is the flow of the sequence. So that flow you have to show with the help of prototypes to the customer. So without even having the actual system in place, the customer gets an idea about how the final developed system would look like. Now, what is the process behind creating prototypes? Now, the prototype creation essentially deals with these four processes. Like, we need to first identify the basic requirements such as security the requirements that are non-functional in nature, for instance the security or the scalability. Those kind of requirements are completely eliminated or completely sidelined when we talk about creation of prototype. So prototype essentially deals in such scenarios wherein we have a certain set of inputs and output that has to be present in a particular system. Now, what are inputs? Now, when I am capturing a user's demographic information, those are essentially inputs that we are collecting from a user through our system. So we would be creating prototypes in that particular fashion. Now, what is output? Now, output is like, if let's say the user logs in. So after logging into a particular system, how the user's information would look like. For example, if we consider our this portal itself, so I have given some input to the system. So when you log in under your my account section, you are able to see the details which are present in the system pertaining to your user account. So those kind of information, if you would like to show to the user, those would be in the format of output, like whatever input we have taken from the user, and now after the user is logging into the system, how the presentation of information happens in that particular system. So that essentially is something that you um, articulate in your output related artifacts or the prototypes. Now, after we have identified the basic requirement, we go about developing initial prototype. Now, this prototype can be, uh, of various nature. Now, what is various natures of a prototype? A prototype can be a simple prototype that you draw using a simple pen and paper. So that is also treated as a prototype. And prototype can be a high level prototype wherein you show interaction, actual user interaction in a particular system, wherein you link one screen to another screen. So those kind of prototypes are more interactive in nature. Then there are prototypes which are used by your UI designing team, who creates an actual prototype which are actually reused by the developers when actual system gets in place, or the coding starts in place. So if you see, in a particular project there are essentially two kinds of developer. One is your UI developer and one is your programmer. Now what's the difference between UI developer and programmer? So UI developer are essentially the developers who creates the look and feel of the system using Photoshop or your Adobe Illustrator or your Adobe Sketch. There are different set of tools that are available to create UI look and feel. So these kind of developer, they would not do any sort of coding as in creating the logic behind this UI screen. They would only be responsible for developing the UI screen. Then there are programmers who would use the UI screens these people have developed in order to build the logic behind that particular system. So there are essentially two category of people who are present in a particular project. Now, prototype doesn't mean that every team would have the flexibility wherein you would be having a separate dedicated UI developers, or who is essentially accountable for creating the UI look and feel of the system. Now, this is a
Hey,
category. Yeah,
are they like UX UI designers? So,
yes, absolutely. What I am referring here is the UI UX designer. Now,
okay.
in a particular project, for example, if you consider a project like Microsoft Xbox, now if you visit their particular website, that particular website is more targeted toward the gaming set of users who are more interested in purchasing the gaming consoles and the game titles that are available. In those category of project, we would be needing the UI designer or UI UX engineers, and the programming team would be different. Now, what about the project which are not that much UI sensitive. For instance, if we consider a banking domain project or insurance domain project, which are more of functional centric, which are more of business domain centric, in those category of project, you would not find any UI UX designer. It would be the same development team who would be responsible for creating the screens and creating the needed programming logic behind them. Now, what would be our role in these two category of project? R as in a business analyst role. Now, if we consider the domain-centric projects, wherein the project is in a particular insurance domain or banking domain, so we would essentially create the high-level UI screen, get it approved, and give it to the development team. Okay, so we are responsible for creating UI screens for the development team, the high level at least. Now, what about the projects which are more UI centric? What would be our role as a business analyst? Now, our role as a business analyst would be to create the high level prototype, but have those prototype designed by the UI UX designer. So essentially, we would be playing a coordinating role over there, not the actual role wherein we create the UI screen or prototype. So that's the difference between the business analyst role when it comes to the UI centric projects and the domain centric project. So depending on whatever nature of project you are tagged to, you would be playing this variation of role as a business analyst. Now, once we have developed the initial prototype, we would go about the third process, that is the review process. Now, review process is something that we send this set of prototypes or the UI screen to the customer, and customer gives their feedback on this particular prototypes, that okay, the text box needs to be in two column fashion or three column fashion rather than in putting text boxes in every single line. So basis on their findings, they would give you their review. After that, if there are any changes that is being requested by your customer, you should go about revising and enhancing the prototype. Now remember, the prototype, although it serves as the base to start the programming work or the coding work, it is never ever in a stage wherein you could consider that this prototype is final, because this prototyping process itself keeps on evolving as we progress through a particular project. It's never ever final, because customer can come at any point of time and they would say, okay, this menu should come under this heading, this heading should go under this particular menu. So this decision is something that is constantly changing. So you cannot say that once the prototype is approved, that's the final set of prototype. It has fair chances of getting modified or getting altered as per the customer's needs and expectation. After that, understanding the prototyping process, we now understand what are the dimension on prototype. Now, essentially, there are two sets of prototype. One is your horizontal prototype and one is your vertical prototype. So, there are other categories as well. So, we will first see these two. Now, horizontal prototype is a user interface prototype that is horizontal in nature. So, it provides a broad view of an entire system or subsystem, focusing on user interface interaction more than low-level system functionality, such as database access. Horizontal prototype are useful for confirmation of user interface requirements and system scope, and demonstration version of the system to obtain buy-in from the business and develop preliminary estimates of development time, cost, and effort. So when I create a particular prototype, in let's say my project would be having 10 important screens. So whatever those 10 important screens are essentially mapped to your horizontal prototype, because without those 10 important screens we cannot start this particular project. So that's the reason why they have written here as demonstration version of the system to obtain buy-in from the business. So the important screens are something that we need to capture via this horizontal prototypes. Now then there is something called as vertical prototype. So it's an enhanced complete elaboration of a single subsystem or function. So it is useful for obtaining detailed requirement for a given functions with the following benefits, like refining your database design, obtaining information on data volumes and system interface design, or for network sizing and performance engineering, clarifying complex requirement by drilling down to actual system functionality, and so on. So whatever screen that you developed at a top level are essentially known as horizontal prototype. Now, this horizontal prototype are the prototype which essentially goes into your BRD, business requirement document. And vertical prototype are the detailed version of horizontal prototype. Let's say you create a demographic screen. Now in demographic screen, you have to capture certain behavior. It's not always about inputting the information. For example, the behavior could be if a user modifies a particular information, if the user deletes a particular information, what would be the behavior of the screen change in that particular screen? For example, a message would appear. So whatever behavioral aspect of the top level prototype would be there would be elaborated in your vertical prototype. And vertical prototype would always go under your functional specification document or the low level documentation. So high level documentation, BRD would have horizontal prototype, and low level documentation like functional specification document would be having vertical prototype. After that, we would see what are the different types of prototypes. So there are essentially these types of prototype. One is your throwaway prototype. So like I said, you can create a simple prototype using pen and paper. Now, after you have perceived that information about how the system screen would look like by drawing that particular piece of screen using pen and paper, that paper is of no usage. So what you would do, you would create a newer version of that particular prototype depending on the user feedback, and you would throw away the older version of the prototype. So this what I would say, this refining you have to continuously do using pen and paper until and unless your business is satisfied with the final design. So in this continuing process, whatever older version of prototype you have drawn in your paper, you would throw away those prototypes. So that's the reason why it is named as throwaway prototype. Every time you create a new version of the prototype on a paper, you throw away the old prototype because that's no longer in usage. Now, before throwing that old prototype, you take the necessary recommendation or review comments from the customer and incorporate in the new version of the prototype. Then comes your GUI based prototypes. So these prototypes are more of interaction in nature. So we have the actual interaction happening in place when we talk about GUI based prototype. Now you can design this prototype using simple Excel. You can design this prototype using a specific designing tool like your Azure, or for that matter, Just in Mind. There are multiple software that are available in today's scenario wherein you are able to develop this GUI based prototype. Now, in banking industry or in insurance industry, there are certain products or certain well-known products that support the industry functions. Now, in those contexts, the product itself has a capability wherein you could create a demo prototype or demo screen for the customer to show them. So some software products already have this functionality in place. So if that is available, then no need to create prototype in Excel or Azure. You can directly use that specialized software itself and create prototype inside that. Then comes your evolutionary prototype. Evolutionary prototype are the same thing as the GUI based prototype, but it evolves with the time, with the demand of the customers. Like you create a certain set of interaction, you did some prototyping using paper and so on. So after every recommendation, this prototypes keeps on evolving. So you can say it is more from taking a real-time feedback from the customer. It has both the elements included inside them, the throwaway aspect as well and the GUI based aspect as well. GUI based aspect, why? Because ultimately whatever feedback you would be getting via throwaway prototype or via that GUI itself, the prototype itself would be evolving depending on the customer's feedback. So that's the third category of prototype. Then comes the incremental prototype. Now when we are doing this prototype cycle by cycle, let's say in an agile project you are doing a prototyping of a particular screen. So after every increment, the screen tends to change because new functionality is incorporated in that particular screen, or new modification has been made in that particular screen. So in that context, those kind of Incremental changes to the prototype are termed as incremental prototype. And then comes your extreme prototype, like I gave you an example, the gaming projects wherein the UI UX people would be heavily involved. Those kind of prototypes are called as extreme prototypes that would actually be reused in the actual system that is being built. And this kind of prototype are ideally created by a specialized skilled people, the UI UX designers. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of prototype then? So by creating prototype, we need not to write those 1,000 lines of requirement. For example, the text box would be 10 pixel to the left. The label would be 15 pixel to the left. You need not write those requirement 100, 200 lines of requirement. You just create a prototype and show it to the customer. So that reduces time and cost. Then it improves and increases user involvement. So when you show an actual demo of a system or actual view of a particular system, it gives an opportunity for your business user to think from that perspective how the system would look like. So that increases and improves your user involvement. So those are the advantages of the prototype. Now, what are the disadvantages of the prototype? Insufficient analysis. Like I said, prototype do not have the underlying functionalities explained with them. Although we have the vertical prototypes which supports the detailing of the requirement, but still it do not have the sufficient analysis needed for explaining the actual need of the requirement or the actual need of the customer. So those are the insufficient analysis that it contributes when dealing with the prototype. Now, how do we mitigate this insufficient analysis? We create other design modeling. For example, the database designs, the process designs, and the use cases and UML design, which essentially supports this prototype. Only prototype would never ever gives the needed information that is required for a system to be developed. The other disadvantage would be user confusion of prototype and finished system. Now, like I said, whatever prototype that you create during your initial phases of the project, that is not the final version of the system. There are many other things that needs to be considered or keeps evolving in a particular project when you are building a particular system. So taking that aspect into consideration, it creates a user confusion. Essentially, which are the people who are confused the most are the QA people. So QA refers the initial prototype which has been approved by the customer, and they see the actual system. So there are certain 20 to 30% variation. So that sort of confusion is bound to happen when you are dealing with the prototypes or the evolving prototypes. Then developers misunderstanding of user objective. Like I said you, the case with the QA people, the same case happens with the development team as well. So the development team gets the first version of the prototype, they build something, then they get the second version of the prototype, they build something, and between these first version, second version, and third version, the system has changed so much that they themselves were confused at this point of time. So that is something that contributes to the disadvantages of the prototype. Next is developers attachment to the prototype. Now developer are a set of people who are official most often stick to what has been provided to them as requirement. Now since prototype is an element in a particular project which are bound to change over a period of time, developer are something a developer at some point of time don't tend to digest that fact, and they have their attachment to the prototype that has been given to them. So they would always refer to that particular screen which has been approved by the business stakeholder, irrespective of the fact that there are multiple changes that have been made to that particular prototype. So there are certain cases when development team would shoot back to you saying that how many times you are changing the prototype, being a business analyst. So that is something what I would say thing that needs to be handled offline with the developer team, because we cannot help it out. The business are the set of people who gives us the requirements, and we are bound to accept the changes that has been asked by the business user. So this is an offline thing that you have to deal with the development team. Next is excessive development time of the prototype. Now, this is not true for all the cases. However, there are certain cases like the UI UX project wherein it takes excessive time to create and come up with a certain set of prototypes. So that can also be a disadvantage. And lastly, it is expensive to implement prototype. Now, prototype doesn't elaborate on the programming aspect of a particular system. So there may be a case that some prototypes are not programmatically feasible to implement. So that is what this pointer talks about. Expense of implementing prototype. There are some ideation that has been incorporated in a particular prototype, which even after getting approved from the business customer are never implemented because that is not feasible to implement. So being a business analyst, you have to avoid that mistake of not discussing the prototype with the development team or check the feasibility of implementation of the prototype within a particular system before sending it to the business customer. First, get it checked by your technical team whether it's feasible to develop such screens, and then send it for approval to the business user. Never ever do that mistake. Always discuss the prototype with the development team in order to ensure that whatever you are sending to the business is technically feasible to develop the screen. Now, these are the best and worst system for prototypes. The best system for prototype would be uh, especially for transaction processing, where the use of screen dialog is much more in evidence. Wherever you find an interaction happening between a user and your system, that is the place wherein you would be using prototype. Like I said you, wherein you would be in a position to capture some of the information like user demographic information or registration of a particular user. Those are the system wherein you would be using prototype to the maximum level. But what are the prototype? What are the cases wherein you won't be using the prototyping approach? So systems like batch processing or daily transaction processing, system that does some calculation. So these are the systems wherein you should avoid using prototype. So system which has direct interaction with the user are the best system for prototypes, and all the behind the scene functionalities like batch processing, transaction processing, any intermediate calculation that happens at the back end, these are the systems wherein you should avoid using prototypes. Now these are some of the prototyping model, the spiral approach. Now spiral approach is like it starts with your requirement planning, starts with the concept of the requirements, then concept of the operation, then you develop a requirement plan and do a initial prototype. The same thing is repeated and a new version of the prototype comes in. Again, the same thing is repeated and a new version of prototype comes in. So the spiral approach after every cycle produces a modified version of prototype. That's the reason it is called a spiral. Until and unless you get the final version of prototype, you keep on prototyping basis on the concept of the requirement, concept of the operation and your requirements plan. And after that, at some point of time, when the business user is convinced that this is the final version of the prototype that we should uh, do with, then you finalize that particular prototype and do all the other aspect, and then your project gets completed. So this is your spiral approach. Now then there is one more approach called as DSDM approach, dynamic system development approach, wherein you do the exploration part. Before exploration, you first do the pre-project activity. Now in that pre-project activity, you tend to understand the feasibility of implementation of that particular system. After that, you lay out the foundation for that particular system, and you tend to explore the requirement aspect of a particular system, and then you create some sort of prototypes. After that, you start coding. Engineering is the coding part, wherein you start coding that particular system and hand it over to the customer, any the end customer. Now, if there are certain changes that the customer asks, in the deployment, since the deployment is incremental meaning that there is fair chance of changing the scope of that particular project. If something is asked after the needed piece of functionality is delivered to the customer, it can be you know go directly to the exploration part, it can directly go to the engineering part, or it can also go to the feasibility check part. So depending on the nature of the request, it would go to any of the phases, pre-project phases, or sorry, feasibility or foundation phase, or exploration phase, or directly to the developer phase. So this is also a model wherein we use prototypes heavily, and once the customer is convinced with the number of developer this increments we have delivered to them, we finally close that particular project and we do the post project activity. So these are essentially two such models which are heavily influenced by prototype. Other than that, whether you consider agile approach, waterfall, incremental, Kanban, XP, DevOps model, in every framework, in every approach, whether it's traditional or agile approach, we use prototype more or less in a given project context. Now, this is how things work in dynamic system development. We have business prototype, we have usability prototype, we have performance and capacity prototype, and some prototyping technique. And this is the life cycle of the prototype, that is identify prototype, agree to a plan, create the prototype, and review the prototype. Pretty much self-explanatory. Now, before moving to hands-on, does anyone have any queries or questions around prototype? This is a very simple session wherein we would familiarize ourselves by creating some simple prototypes. Okay, to start with, I'll first explain you how to create simple prototype using Excel. You can also create along with me if you want to. Now what we need to do, let us first define a case. Let me define a case that I want to create a prototype for what should be the case I take, for what system I should be creating prototype. Okay, we'll create a prototype for a learning management system. So for that, what we would do, we would select this cells, a specific cell. After that, what we would do, we would go to format cell. We took the column width. Now what we would do, we would select a certain set of columns from here, and what we would do, we would make it as no border. We would just remove the border part of it, and we would give a color scheme for this particular area. Let us first do a coloring part. So we have removed the borders, we have taken the colors. Now what I would do, I would write the name as ML learning system management. Now I don't want it here, I want somewhere in between. Okay, so this should be our title of the system. Let me make this thing a bit dark and increase its font size to, let's say, this, and then I would take a separator over here, signify it with a different color. Rather, I would take a different color over here, take it a darker shade. After I have done this, I don't think this looks good here. Okay, so this is the title of the system. Now in this system, I would create two links. First is your registration link, and then I would create a login link. Now I want this thing to be aligned in. Before that, let me see some other coloring. It's not that good. Okay, before that, let me design the other aspect of the system. And this color I would give that white, and this color I would give it as, again, white. So I want to build a particular learning management system wherein I should be able to onboard user by using registration and want user to see their dashboard using login screen. Now for that, I have created this home screen by which they should be able to input their information. Now this is a static prototype at this point of time. There is no interaction happening in this particular prototype. Now before that, let me design the UI elements for it. For example, I would be taking the UI elements like registration of new user. I don't want it here. I want it somewhere here. Okay. Here I would be taking their first name, last name, phone number, email address, then what are the other important parts? Username and the password needed for registration. So this is the first set of information I would be needing from them. After that, I would create a text box like structure by using this thing. So this is where they would essentially enter their information. Now this is one set of information. Then I would divide the screen with some coloring part. Now here I would be taking the other set of information, right? Address line 1, address line 2, address sorry, state, country, state, city should be there, state, city, zip code, and the other part would be your country. And same text box I would be creating using the white line. And after that I can have a submit button somewhere over here, or register button somewhere over here. Now this is about user registration screen we are done with. Now I would be needing one more screen which would essentially confirm my registration. So for that matter, what we would do, we would copy this entire content and go to this particular tab and remove all this information which are there, and create a new screen wherein we would confirm the user that your registration is completed. Please check your user dashboard. Now we need to think a bit, from a perspective of interaction, that when a user is registered, here a dashboard should come instead of login. So what I would do, this link I would transform it as dashboard, because the user is now logged in, and here I would rename this link as home. So this is now my dashboard, and here I would make it as user dashboard menu. Once the user is registered, I would name this tab as registration. This tab I would name it as dashboard after he has registered. Now I would be needing one more screen for the user to log in. So for that reason, I would copy this particular screen and paste it. Here I would name it as ask the user to log in. So I would ask essentially his username and password. After he enters his username and password, we would be creating a button to log in. Now where do we create necessary set of interaction? So right click on this particular login and define your hyperlink. Place in this document. Now once the user logs in, he would go to the dashboard. Now once the user in dashboard, you need to create a hyperlink. He should be able to go to his home screen. So you would define the hyperlink and take him to the home screen, which is essentially a login screen. Sorry. Home screen is done. Now we have the dashboard as well. Now for dashboard, we would do the same hyperlink, which is the dashboard screen itself. Now in login screen, we also have a dashboard. I'll first change the color of that particular dashboard and create a hyperlink wherein he would be taken back to the user dashboard. Now for registration, we have the register screen wherein it is the same registration screen, and we have the login screen wherein we define the login screen. And once it is registered, we have to link it to the particular dashboard screen, which is your registration screen. Now we have added all the interaction. So if I click on this particular login, it would take me to the login screen. Now after I have logged in, it takes me to the dashboard screen. If I want to go to the home, it takes me to the home screen. If I go to the dashboard screen, it takes me to the dashboard screen. So this way we can add interaction to a particular system and get it approved from the business stakeholder. So this were the indicative number of fields that we had taken into consideration at this point of time. It could be a full-fledged system design as well, depending on your need. And if you want to add an image, you can always insert a picture object to this Excel sheet and create such images. Now this was one way of creating a prototype. Now I would show you one more way of creating this particular prototype. That is via your tool called as Axure. Now the download link for this particular tool is already given in the portal. It's a 30-day free tool that you could use for creating your prototypes. Now what you need to do is, after you have installed this particular tool, you would have a default template like this. So for that, you would be we would replicate the same example over here. We would first name it as screen as home screen, Then the other screen was welcome screen. Then the other screen was registration and login screen. We would be needing one more screen to add one more child page, that is your login screen. And then we have the home screen, welcome screen, login screen, and then we would be needing a dashboard. So it's pretty much very easy to develop a UI screen using this particular tool. So what we would first take, we would first take a rectangle. We would color that particular rectangle, give a background color to it. Let's say I give it as blue color. I'll put some shadow effect to it. In that particular rectangle, I would take a heading one, that is ML learning management system. I would be needing an horizontal line over here to separate out the heading. I would be needing a footer over here and a copyright text. The font size is too big at the bottom. I would change it to, let's say, uh, 12. Okay. Okay. This is this thing. Now I would be adding some button to this. This would be my registration button. Then I would simply copy it and paste it. Add some text that I could do using label. Would add it as, if you are already a registered user, then please log in below. Next I would write it as, if you are not a registered user, then please register below. After that, I want one image. I can take any image. Just for example, I take these two images for the time being. After this has been done, what I would do, I would create the other page. I would copy simply all this thing and I would create a welcome page. Here I would write it as, sorry, congratulations, your registration is successful. I need a button over here somewhere to reach out to my dashboard page. I would copy all this thing and go create my dashboard page. Now in this dashboard, I would be needing a menu. So for that particular menu, I would be creating a list. For example, I would be needing my account details, or I would be needing my wallet details, my subscription details, my certificate details, my assignment details. So I have created a menu over here and I want the user to select a particular menu. So I would write it as select what you would like to do. After selection of this particular menus, the respective page should appear. For that, I would be needing a smaller header, not that big, rather this big should be sufficient. So the user would come to their dashboard and they have to select a particular action to view the particular page. Now here I would write it as back to home. Rather, I would give it an option as logout since he is logged in. So this is my dashboard screen is ready. Login screen is pending. I would create a login screen. So for login screen, we don't need that much effort. We would be writing as username, and password, a text field, and a submit button. Now after he submits, he should be able to see his uh, dashboard page. Okay, main home screen. After main home screen, if he clicks on login button, he would come to login screen. If he clicks on register button, he should come to register screen. The register screen is not yet ready. So what we would do, we would copy everything and go to the registration screen where we would keep all this thing and add some more options. Probably we would be needing a very simple registration. So we write it as email address, phone number, username and password. And here I would write it as register. And every page should be having an home button for easy navigation. So whichever are the common this thing buttons, we would first start adding interaction to them. Now how you would add the interaction to this? Just click on this particular button, go to this on click event. In that particular on click event, click on add a case, open link. We need to see the home screen. Click on main screen. Same thing we have to do for registration. Click on this home button, go to this go to this particular menu, on click, add a case, open link, go to your main home. Same thing we have to do for login screen. On click, add a case, open link, your home screen. Dashboard, for home button, on click, add case, open link, go to your main home. Now then there are other buttons. For example, if I click on login button on an on click event, the login button should take me to the login screen. If I click on register button, on click of register button, it should take me to the registration screen. I have added interaction to this. Then coming to the welcome screen. So welcome screen is something after I have registered, the welcome screen should appear. So I would add a case, open a link and go to my welcome screen. Then coming to the login screen, after logging, it should take me to the appropriate dashboard. So I would go to the dashboard screen. So and then there is logout screen button. After clicking on logout, it should take me to the main home page. Now let us check if we have added interaction to all the buttons. Home is there, logout is there, submit is there, registration is there, welcome is there, and main home is there. Now let us play this thing. Click on play icon, remove this thing, Now when I click on login, it should take me to the login screen. I enter the details, I enter whatever password, submit, it takes me to the dashboard screen. Whichever thing I want to do, I can do so. I click on logout, it takes me back to the login screen. When I click on register, enter the necessary details which are there, it should take me to the complete registration page. And after that, I want to go to my dashboard. Okay, I didn't add an interaction over there or what with that. Yeah, the interaction wasn't added there. So I would click on click, add a case, then link, and take it to the dashboard screen. So again, I replay it and go to the dashboard. It takes me to the dashboard screen. After I log out, it takes me back to the logout screen. So what we essentially learned in this interaction prototype is like, although it doesn't have the underlying functionality, but it appropriately captures the flow of the system. For example, if we log in, which screen should come? After logging in, the dashboard should appear. When I log out, it should take me back to the main page. When I click on register, it takes my registration detail and it should show me the successful registration message. When I click on dashboard, it should take me to the dashboard with the logout option. So this is one way of creating your prototype using interaction. So like you have seen, it was very difficult to create a prototype using traditional tools like Excel, but this tool is much more sophisticated in terms of designing the software UI screen prototype.